Reporter Llewelyn Berenge and cameraman Busiso Matebula attended a support group session to get a first-hand account of the work being done in the community.
It's a way of life for many youngsters. They've been dabbling in drugs from an early age. Lorenzo Britton walked away from a life of crime. He's experimented with almost every street drug. For almost 2 months, he's been off crystal meth.
I would use maybe up to 7 bags a day, and I wouldn't realize what I was doing to myself. I used to take the things without even thinking, and I wouldn't care because the drug I used took away my feelings. I didn't have feelings at all. You can call the cops on me and it was like, I don't care about the cops. They can lock me up now, I will come out.
Hasn't Tobin had a bright athletic future? Tobin's teenage life spiraled out of control after his mother's death.
Cat didn't do me anything because it started becoming weak for my body, and I started smoking crystal meth Mandrax, and it's where I became now another person, and thus I can say I became a demon because I used to rob people.
3 years ago, a near-death experience sobered him up.
Finding myself on my knees with a gun in my mouth. And at that moment, really, for me, just this guy's pulling the trigger and he said, you remember what you did? I know I did people bad in the past. I know, but I can't remember this guy's face. I don't know, as maybe his family member or someone that I robbed or something, but he pulled the trigger. And at that moment, something just flashed in front of me. I saw to say, really, yeah, I'm dying. Crying for my life, crying literally. The friends was what me ran away. Not one of my friends was surrounded with me.
Ricardo Sanderson has been clean for 2 weeks. A qualified diamond polisher he's been using for more than a decade.
My drug of choice is stick. Yeah, why I'm using it is because I actually love the feeling of being high. And then obviously we can blame the community, we can blame who and who. But the reason why we actually use this stuff is because we like the feeling of being high. See, I used to steal at home. I'm a professional liar if I have time.
Elridge Thompson is in uncharted waters. He's been Mandrax free for a few hours.
I used Mandrax for 6 years, but I'm now clean for 1 day. After this, it's just the same. It's not out of my system yet.
I know what you're going through because I was also in the situation.
Abusing those close to them isn't uncommon, but there is hope. For both the recovering addict and their loved ones, it's a lifelong journey. Llewelyn Berenge, SABC News, Eldorado Park.
Joining me for more on this is Llewelyn Berenge from the Yellow Ribbon Foundation, a recovering drug addict. Thanks so much for your time. He's come to a program by the Yellow Ribbon Foundation, which was founded by Dereleen James. She started the foundation after writing to former President Jacob Zuma about drug abuse among the youth in Eldorado Park. Llewelyn, thanks so much for your time on SABC News. Perhaps you can just give us a little bit of your story and how you started using drugs and when you knew that there was a problem and you needed to do something.
I actually started at a very young age. I started at the age of 14 years old. It just started as a joke because I just thought I had it all under control. But up until 15 years later, and I saw that, I saw that I really have a problem now because the drugs, the reason why I started actually using drugs was because I saw the very first time I started was when, how can I put it now? I saw it,
Did you see someone using drugs around you, or did you feel like it was a way of an escape?
Yes, actually, I felt that it was a way of escape because the thing that happened was the very first time I started was I was actually an introvert. I was very shy to talk to people. And when I saw it, after I took the first one, I saw that, no, now I can talk to people. Now I'm
okay.
I can handle myself. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you said 15 years later you realized you had a problem. Was there a particular moment where you thought, okay, I can't do this anymore? Was it your family trying to intervene?
You know, no one actually intervened. What happened was, it came to a certain extent because of the lifestyle that I lived. I ended up having so many enemies. Because I also ended up having a lot of dockets, that my dockets were piling up because the police was looking for me, and I ended up in the newspapers. I was wanted, and so I knew that it's either I'm going to serve a long-term jail sentence, or these people that's looking for me are going to kill me. The people that I was actually trying to impress, which was my friends, because I was living up to their expectations, they actually didn't want anything to do with me anymore. That's why I started, and so I realized that I was really at the low. Not at the low to say that I didn't have any money or stuff like that, but I was at a low spiritually. I was bankrupt. I was very low, and so I realized that something came to my mind that I need to give my heart to God, because something that someone told me at a very early age that no, in order for you to enter heaven, you need to give your heart to God, because I know that at that moment in time that I was going to die. Because if those people that were looking for me is going to catch me, then they're going to kill me.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad you brought up the issue of your so-called low point, saying that it wasn't like you didn't have money or anything like that. For you, it just felt like something is wrong. When we speak about drug addiction, a lot of the time people expect there to be a big dramatic thing that says you have a problem, like you're homeless or you've lost all your possessions, or like you've said, you're in the newspaper. But if someone is watching and think they might have a problem, what kind of advice would you give them, and how do they know that it's time to look for help?
Many a times, our society, because we conform to a certain pattern, society has told me that I have a drug problem. Well, if you were a drug addict like me, and then drugs was never your problem. But I actually used drugs as a solution to my problem. My problem was that I was suffering from a spiritual malady, and it manifested itself with stealing, lying. It manifested itself with sadness, hatred, anger, all those things. And up until I had to come to the source of love, which is God, and I had to change my whole attitude, a whole new way of life. I had to focus now on spiritual principles and change my whole attitude. That's how I actually came to.
So before we carry on, I know that you've spoken about religion as a way of you getting off drugs, but for a lot of people, religion is not there for them, and some people also say you must be careful of just using religion as a way of curing either an illness like drug addiction, or an illness like HIV and AIDS, we were talking about today. A lot of people say, they found their spirituality in there. So what would you say to someone if they didn't have spirituality, but they're looking for help, especially in a community like Eldorado Park?
Okay, one thing that I could tell them is that beware of the desire to be liked, because that is one of the most dangerous ambitions ever invented in life. That was one of the traps that I fell into, because, when you desire to be liked, you live up to other people's expectations, and that is one of the biggest downfalls that you'll ever have, because then you'll end up pleasing people, your friends and all that. So if you can just beware of that desire, the urge to be liked by other people, the urge to fit in.
Mm-hmm. And how long have you been clean for?
It's now 4.5 years.
And talk to us about the kind of work that you do with people in the community to try and also help them stay clean or help them get off drugs.
For me, this is a lifestyle. It's like each and every day of my life, I go out and I go into Kersidorp, into the KD, that's the community where I used to live, and I go and look for people that needs help, and I like you saw that what the program that's what I do on a Wednesday, and like each and every day I get guys into rehabilitation centers. That's what I do.
Mm-hmm. And how difficult is it to stay clean, especially in an environment where there are different challenges and different issues that face you on a day-to-day basis?
It's very difficult, because especially in the environment that I'm working in, that's really hardcore, because the people, it's like I was working with another guy, and he actually was clean for about 8-9 months, but he relapsed a few weeks ago, all because of there's no programs, there's nothing that he could have done. And that's just the sad part of it.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people speak about feeling abandoned by government and feeling as though government doesn't care about rampant drug use and the social ills that surround areas like Eldorado Park and the area that you just spoke about. Do you feel the same?
No, I don't. Actually, you see, that is part of an addictive behavior, that pity party, if you depend on someone to help you. So That's just my understanding of things, because I don't depend on government or anything. Like, even for me getting guys into a rehabilitation center, I don't work, but most of the times I do it with my own money and all that, just to make sure that they are on the right track.
And how important is it for people of the same age or background to speak to other people of that same age or background around the dangers of drugs and also getting clean and staying clean?
You know, it's really important because, like, for instance, like with the youth of today, many a times they wouldn't believe that I also took their journey if I had to go into another area like Soweto. While I'm working in an area where they know me, they knew how I used to live, and they saw the change in me, and it's really important because they can see that, now if he can make it, and then I can also make it.
How easy is it to come from what sounds like a very dangerous life of crime, where you're in the newspapers, people are looking for you, to coming onto national television and speaking about your addiction and your recovery?
You know, in the beginning it wasn't easy because I was still scared of the guys that would come back to me, but now after 4.5 years, it's straight on. It's like easy.
Llewelyn, thanks so much for your time. Llewelyn Berenge joining us from the Yellow Ribbon Foundation, speaking to us about drug addiction today on World AIDS Day. It's time for your weather now. Thanks so much for joining us, and good night.
Welcome.